ability to talk. Fantastic. Obviously, she's very attractive, very cute, but her views, her eliteness, her like, I know what's right and you don't, and now you want to apologize, bro. This is how the world works when you get on social media.
A Broadway actress who issued a post saying, F Biden supporters. May Biden or Kamala never have a moment's peace. That person would be fired so fast it would make your head spin. They wouldn't last one more minute in any Hollywood role. This is truly like, she has to go. I'm sorry, Disney. She has to go. And you're going to put out a Disney film with Snow White, a beloved American character, with a woman who hates more than half the country, the half that just elected Donald Trump. This is an incredible pivot point right now. We'll see which way the woke Disney decides to go.
Pay your writers, pay your actors. I have residual checks that would shock you.
Rachel Zegler has made a dramatic U-turn, retracting her heated remarks about Trump voters and vowing to stay out of political debates. However, Hollywood insiders believe the damage may already be done. Once a rising Disney star, Zegler now faces growing skepticism from executives amid months of intense backlash. With Disney's $200 million Snow White remake hanging in the balance, her comments may have unintentionally jeopardized one of the studio's biggest projects. Industry whispers suggest Disney is quietly distancing itself from the actress, fearing the controversy could overshadow the film's success.
Your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
Rachel Zegler's Snow White should have been a career-defining moment, but instead, she found herself making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Rather than promoting the film, Zegler's outspoken comments sparked controversy, alienating Disney's core audience and turning what should have been a triumphant reimagining into a PR disaster. In a series of interviews, she criticized the original Snow White, calling it weird and outdated, insisting her version would be a modern and independent take. This didn't sit well with longtime Disney fans, who felt she was dismissing the legacy of a beloved classic. The backlash intensified when Zegler doubled down, challenging critics and fueling heated online debates. The situation worsened when she made polarizing political statements, particularly her remark that Trump and his supporters never know peace. This single comment ignited a firestorm, drawing both applause and outrage. Supporters praised her for speaking out, but critics, many of whom were lifelong Disney fans, felt attacked and alienated. Conservative voices condemned her remarks as an insult to millions of Americans, with hashtags like #BoycottSnowWhite trending across social media. Even moderates, tired of political drama and entertainment, saw her comments as unnecessarily divisive. Meanwhile, progressives were split. Some admired her boldness, while others questioned whether her approach was self-destructive, turning what should have been a major career milestone into a battleground of controversy. As the backlash mounted, Disney executives grew increasingly concerned. With a $200 million blockbuster on the line, the studio had to weigh whether Zegler's outspoken nature was worth the risk. Whispers from Hollywood suggest Disney is now quietly backing away, distancing itself from the actress to avoid further damage. The controversy surrounding Snow White has overshadowed the film itself, raising concerns that it may struggle at the box office before it even hits theaters. Faced with mounting pressure, Zegler has now made a stunning reversal, stepping back from political debates and pledging to stay out of controversy. This shift is seen by many as a last-ditch attempt to salvage her image. But is it too late? The damage may already be done, and the industry is watching closely to see whether she can recover or if her Hollywood ascent has been permanently derailed. For Disney, this film is no longer just another fairy tale. It has become a flashpoint in the ongoing cultural battle over the studio's direction. Can they repair Snow White's reputation before its release, or has the controversy already doomed the project? And more importantly, has Rachel Zegler's outspokenness cost her the very career she was building? As the controversy rages on, one thing is certain: this story is far from over.
Snow White actress Rachel Zegler only a few days ago decided to tell every single person that had a different political opinion than her,
"May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace."
Every time we check in on Disney's upcoming Snow White remake, somehow things get even worse than they were before.
This woman thinks that, the half of America, more than half of America, shouldn't live in peace.
Hello, Disney, you're going to have to redo your film again because this woman is a pig.
There are growing calls tonight for Disney to fire Rachel Zegler, the star of its widely anticipated Snow White remake. It's because of an anti-Donald Trump post she made after the election, writing, quoting here, "May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace." Zegler is now apologizing. She writes in a new post, let my emotions get the best of me, and I am sorry," contributed to the negative discourse.
But apparently telling Rachel Zegler to behave normally just isn't an option either. So the other day, in response to the presidential election, Zegler had a very public meltdown on her Instagram stories. She wrote, quote, "F you, Donald Trump." And she proceeded to insult the 75 million Americans who voted for him. Quote, "I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred, leading us towards a world I do not want to live in."
The controversy surrounding Snow White star Rachel Zegler has evolved into a full-blown PR crisis, not just for the actress, but for Disney itself. What started as backlash over her political statements has now become a wider debate over the company's alleged hypocrisy, further alienating an already frustrated audience. For many, this wasn't just about Zegler's words. It was about Disney's selective approach to controversy. When Gina Carano made politically charged posts, she was swiftly fired from The Mandalorian. Yet, Zegler's inflammatory remarks, stating "May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace," were met with silence. This perceived double standard fueled accusations that Disney only takes action when it aligns with a specific political stance. Rather than de-escalating the situation, Zegler doubled down. She accused Trump supporters of enabling harm and blamed Elon Musk's X, formerly Twitter, for aiding Trump's re-election. Instead of shifting attention back to the film, she turned Snow White, a project meant to be a magical, family-friendly reimagining, into a political battleground. For Disney, the timing couldn't be worse. Already facing backlash over recent creative decisions and struggling with box office flops, the last thing the company needed was another controversy. Yet, by refusing to address the issue head-on, they found themselves trapped in a firestorm of their own making. The backlash only grew, with hashtag boycott Disney and hashtag boycott Snow White gaining traction, as fans and critics alike questioned whether Disney even understood its own audience anymore. Zegler's past controversies didn't help her case. Before Snow White, she had already ruffled feathers by criticizing the marketing of West Side Story, the very film that launched her career. Some saw this as a sign of an outspoken actress unafraid to challenge the industry, while others viewed it as proof that she consistently courted controversy and struggled to read the room. As pressure mounted, Zegler finally issued an apology. "I let my emotions get the best of me, and I am sorry. I contributed to the negative discourse." But by then, the damage had been done. Many saw her statement as hollow, a textbook PR move rather than genuine remorse. Instead of calming the controversy, her carefully worded apology reignited anger from both sides. Critics accused her of dodging responsibility rather than taking real accountability. Some pointed out that her sudden plea for peace contradicted the inflammatory rhetoric she had doubled down on just days earlier. Others saw it as a calculated attempt to protect her career rather than a sincere reflection on her words. Meanwhile, Disney faces an impossible choice: stand by their embattled Snow White star and risk further alienating audiences, or cut ties and attempt to salvage the film before its release. With fan outrage growing and calls for her removal intensifying, either decision carries risks. Instead of excitement over a beloved fairy tale, Snow White is now a symbol of Disney's ongoing struggles, creative, financial, and cultural. Can the company recover before the film hits theaters, or has this controversy already doomed it? And more importantly, has Rachel Zegler's outspokenness cost her the very career she was building? One thing is certain. This story is far from over. #hashtag Snow White. As future hangs in the balance, as controversy intensifies, what should have been a triumphant reimagining of a beloved classic has turned into one of Disney's biggest PR nightmares. The backlash against Snow White star Rachel Zegler was already brewing, but her recent political comments sent it into overdrive. Now, the controversy isn't just about Zegler's future. It's about whether Disney itself can salvage the film before it's completely overshadowed by the storm of criticism. Instead of putting the issue to rest, Zegler's apology only fanned the flames. Her statement, "I let my emotions get the best of me, and I am sorry. I contributed to the negative discourse," was met with widespread skepticism. Social media erupted with memes mocking the apology, comparing it to infamous celebrity statements that had been handled with far more humility. Instead of earning forgiveness, her response cemented the perception that she wasn't genuinely remorseful, just sorry for the consequences. To make matters worse, many suspected Disney had orchestrated the apology. Fans accused the company of prioritizing optics over accountability, using a carefully crafted PR response to deflect rather than address the controversy. For many, it was yet another example of Disney's growing disconnect from its audience, a pattern that had already fueled backlash over recent creative decisions and disappointing box office performances. #a studio in crisis. More than ever, audiences expect genuine humility from public figures when they apologize. Polished, insincere statements no longer cut it. People want honesty, vulnerability, and a clear acknowledgement of mistakes. But Zegler's response felt like the exact opposite, making an already bad situation worse. Rather than moving forward, Snow White remains stuck in controversy, with Zegler at the center of a PR disaster that refuses to die down. As calls for Disney to cut ties with her grow louder, the studio faces a difficult choice: stand by their Snow White star and risk further alienating audiences, or distance themselves in an attempt to salvage the film before its release becomes an even bigger disaster. Either way, the damage may already be done. Adding to the turmoil, early glimpses of the Snow White remake were already met with skepticism. Fans flooded social media with negative reactions, criticizing everything from the film's visual style to its drastic departures from the beloved 1937 classic. The backlash only intensified when rumors surfaced that the Seven Dwarfs had been completely
Basically, anyone who voted for him posting on her Instagram that there'll be another 4 years of hatred leaning us towards a world I don't want to live in, claiming that it's leading us towards a world that will be hard to raise my daughter in. And she went even further, warning followers to avoid using Elon Musk's X platform because he supported Donald Trump. Look, she did later apologise for her comments, but it's certainly not the smartest marketing move ahead of this film.
No, I mean, it's a great strategy putting out your leading actress to go ahead and piss off half of the American population and potentially causing a huge backlash from it.
Apparently someone at Disney made a call. Somebody at Disney probably made a call to Rachel Zegler and said, hey, you need to shut your fucking mouth because you are destroying this movie and our reputation when we can't afford this.
She tried to make Snow White really woke, and there was a huge backlash from that. Well, unsurprising.
Career off of just criticizing things. She's always aggrieved about something. They agree with you on this issue. Find something else to criticize, please.
Because of Zegler and because of her hideous poison and the poison of wokeism that sort of like bled through the project. Look at this.
That is a red flag, just mentally, from a mindset point of view. I would love to live in this world, even if Kamala Harris.
They will fire Gina Carano just for being conservative and sharing conservative values, but then you have Rachel.
Zegler also wrote, there is a deep, deep sickness in this country that is shown in the sheer amount of people who showed up for this man who threatens our democracy.
Endorsements that anyone actually cares what they have to say about this stuff, because they should. Like, we don't need to hear from actors and artists about who your political candidate should be. You know, it's you're not qualified to have opinions on this stuff, and you shouldn't be trying to like direct people to vote a certain way. For these people, they're there to entertain us. They're not there to lead us.
I think she's an idiot. She's one of the most unlikable people in Hollywood, and that speaks volumes because there's a lot of unlikable people in Hollywood. But she took it to a whole different level. And you are working for Disney. You're working for a company that is trying to cater to, well, should be anyway, trying to cater to families. Now you have this landslide election from President Trump, and there was no way this was going to go over well.
They're talking about all the other major Disney studio productions that are coming out. This is what's coming in. They're telling this to analysts and shareholders. And for the second time in a row, they have not mentioned the live action remake of the movie that put the Disney company on the frickin' map in 1937. This is just... I don't think this movie's going to happen in March.
Rachel Zegler's comments didn't just spark controversy, they intensified an already volatile situation. In addition to her now infamous remark wishing that Trump supporters never know peace, she escalated tensions further by stating, there is a deep, deep sickness in the country that is shown in the sheer amount of people who showed up for this man who threatens our democracy. Her words ignited even more backlash, alienating a significant portion of the movie-going audience. To many, this wasn't just political commentary, it was a direct attack on millions of Americans. Instead of fostering discussion, Zegler's remarks became another flashpoint in an increasingly polarized landscape, fueling calls for Disney to take action. With Snow White already struggling under the weight of fan skepticism, production challenges, and broader discontent with Disney's live-action remakes, Zegler's statements only compounded the issue. Rather than generating excitement for the film, the controversy turned it into yet another example of Hollywood's disconnect from its audience. Now, as boycotts gain momentum and social media outrage refuses to die down, Disney faces a difficult decision: stand by its embattled star and risk further alienation, or take decisive action to salvage the film. Either way, Snow White risks becoming yet another high-profile casualty of the ongoing culture war. Disney has long been known for its ability to reinvent timeless stories without sacrificing their heart. But in recent years, the studio's approach has shifted, prioritizing reinvention over reverence, making drastic changes that leave fans questioning whether Disney still understands what made these classics beloved in the first place. The Snow White controversy isn't just a one-off misstep, it's a symptom of a larger identity crisis within Disney. Audiences aren't rejecting change. They're rejecting change that feels forced, disconnected, or dismissive of the core elements they loved. Films like Cinderella and The Jungle Book struck a balance between honoring the originals and introducing thoughtful updates, which is why fans embrace them. But when remakes feel like they are rewriting rather than reimagining, audiences push back. Now, Disney finds itself at a crossroads. Does it double down on its current direction despite growing audience frustration, or take a step back and reassess what fans truly want? Snow White was meant to be a celebration of Disney's legacy, but instead, it has become a flashpoint for everything that's gone wrong with the company's recent creative choices. Whether Disney can salvage Snow White remains to be seen. But for many fans, the real question isn't about this one film. It's about whether Disney can reconnect with the magic that once made it untouchable. Because if the company keeps alienating the very audience that built its empire, the future of Disney's storytelling could be in serious jeopardy. A prime example of how modern reimaginings can work is Spider-Man: Into the Spider-Verse. Miles Morales isn't just a reworked Peter Parker. He's his own character, with a unique story, struggles, and triumphs. He represents diversity without erasing what came before, proving that studios can introduce fresh perspectives while still honoring legacy characters. In contrast, Disney's recent approach often feels like it's replacing rather than expanding, leading to backlash from fans who feel like their favorite classics are being rewritten instead of respectfully updated. The Snow White remake embodies this tension. By stripping away the romance, drastically changing the dwarves, and reimagining Snow White as a completely different character, Disney didn't just modernize the film, it fundamentally altered its core. Fans who cherish the original for its charm, innocence, and fairy tale romance feel like they're being told those elements no longer have value. Of course, stories should evolve with time. But the difference between a well-received update and a divisive remake often comes down to how the changes are made. Are they enhancing the story or replacing its heart? Are they adding to the legacy or dismissing what made the original beloved? For many, Disney's latest efforts seem to fall into the latter category, prioritizing reinvention for reinvention's sake rather than organic storytelling growth. The Snow White controversy isn't just about this one film. It's a reflection of a larger issue. Fans want new, diverse stories alongside respect for the classics they grew up with. The success of films like Into the Spider-Verse proves that the two can coexist. But unless Disney starts finding that balance again, it risks losing not only box office dollars, but also the trust and loyalty that made it the entertainment powerhouse it is today. Movies like The Little Mermaid and Mulan struggled to capture the same magic as their animated counterparts, with audiences feeling that the changes made were more about making a statement than telling a compelling story. While both films had their moments, they failed to resonate on the same level as Disney's most successful remakes. Films like Cinderella and The Jungle Book worked because they respected the source material while making natural updates. However, when remakes feel disconnected from the original's essence, audiences notice, and they push back. This disconnect is hitting Disney where it hurts, its bottom line. Audiences aren't rejecting change outright, but they are rejecting changes that feel inauthentic or dismissive of what made these classics special in the first place. The backlash against Snow White is just the latest example of how Disney's approach to reimagining beloved stories isn't landing the way the studio hopes. The lesson from Into the Spider-Verse is clear. Audiences embrace diversity and fresh perspectives when they're woven into a story with care and authenticity. Miles Morales wasn't just a rebranded Peter Parker. He was a fully realized character with his own struggles, culture, and journey, making him feel like a natural and meaningful addition to the Spider-Man legacy. That's what many critics argue Disney has missed with Snow White. The difference between telling a meaningful story and making a statement for the sake of it. As Disney faces declining box office numbers and growing skepticism from fans, it's clear that the studio has some serious rethinking to do. The question now, Rachel Zegler's rising reputation as a PR liability is casting a long shadow over her once promising career. Reports suggest that her controversies have made her a risky choice for major projects, with studios quietly distancing themselves. Whispers about her being difficult to work with are gaining traction, and even Disney, known for its carefully controlled branding, has remained noticeably silent in defending her. This silence speaks volumes about the company's concerns. Unlike stars who have navigated controversy through carefully crafted apologies, Zegler's attempts to smooth things over have been criticized as insincere, further damaging her public image. Hollywood thrives on marketability, and Zegler's growing baggage is making her less attractive to casting directors. An industry insider reportedly questioned why any studio would take on an actress with so much controversy when plenty of other talented performers are available. Beyond her professional struggles, speculation about her personal life has also fueled online chatter. When she was linked to Romeo and Juliet co-star Kit Connor, she swiftly shut down the rumors, insisting they were just colleagues and urging people to respect her privacy. However, personal gossip is only a minor issue in the larger storm surrounding her. Her outspoken political views, particularly after the 2024 presidential election, have caused significant backlash. Conservative commentator Megyn Kelly even suggested Disney reconsider casting someone so divisive in a family-friendly film. Insiders say Disney executives are increasingly worried about how her controversies could impact Snow White and, by extension, the company's broader image. While Disney has not officially altered the film's casting, tension reportedly remains high. Hollywood loves a comeback story, but redemption isn't guaranteed, especially when bridges are already burning. If Zegler hopes to salvage her career, she must do more than issue an apology. She needs to convince both fans and filmmakers that she has learned from her mistakes and can focus on her craft rather than controversy. Right now, however, her career trajectory looks less like a fairy tale and more like a cautionary tale of how quickly Hollywood can turn its back. As Disney moves closer to releasing Snow White, the damage is undeniable. What was once an exciting revival of a beloved classic has instead become a case study in alienating an audience. Fans who once embraced Disney's reimaginings are now questioning whether the company even understands what made its stories magical in the first place. This isn't just about one film, it's a critical test for Disney's ability to connect with modern audiences. Ultimately, the Snow White controversy is proving to be more than a PR headache. It reflects the widening gap between Hollywood and the people it seeks to entertain.